We have time for a couple more questions.
Hi. Sarcastic focus.
Yes, you look great.
Thank you. My name's Miyako. I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, but I've been living in Europe for like a long time. And I'm getting into voiceover. I'm an actor, and I'm transitioning into that. So I wanted to ask you all, what is the weirdest difference between live action acting and voiceover acting?
Weirdest.
I think the weirdest part is doing efforts.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
Where like if you're ever in a fighting sequence, you just have to make all the noises you do, so you just be by yourself in a booth going, like really, yeah. And sometimes you have to like scream, and I think when you're acting like live action, you wouldn't have to put as much of that energy in, because as an animated character, your voice is so much of the character. So.
Yeah, and also sometimes the direction is a little wild. Mike, I do have to put you on blast.
What about my face?
No, your face is great. The wildest thing you ever said to me, though, with zero irony, I don't know what he thought he meant, is he just goes, do it more like, like an uncle.
I'll stand by that direction. We all know how an uncle would have said that.
What?
Do it like an uncle.
It's like,
That's how an uncle would have said that.
Who's uncle?
We all have an uncle. Listen, part of it that's hard is like, sometimes I'll be like, all right, we got this line perfect, but will you guys do it again in case we draw them standing further apart? Like you have to imagine everything, because we record them before we draw the show, and like
There's a lot of times when we come back in for ADR, like after we've recorded the episode, but then they've drawn it differently, and there'll just be a part where Mariner's running, and then she's like, it's craziness going around, and she just goes, hey guys, over here.
Yeah.
ADR with voiceover is one of the weirdest things I've ever done, because I've done it for live action, and you're like matching your own mouth. But with a cartoon, you're matching like a mouth that does not exist. It's just like a cartoon mouth that's just doing this, and you're like, how am I gonna fit the word calculator into what I'm seeing right here? And I think I just did ADR, and I had to like eat a sandwich or something in a scene, and like speaking of efforts, it was like my favorite thing. It was like, okay, now angrily eat the sandwich. And, like, spoilers.
The engineer did say that the angry eating really made the scene.
Yeah.
So it was just
and it was just me going like, and that's why I love my job. It's just so great. It's amazing.
Great question. Thank you so much.
Black women in space is important.
Woo, yeah.
I'm Callie from Cincinnati, Ohio. I am curious if initially breaking the stories, has there ever been a time where you're in a production meeting and you're like, we want to do this in an episode, and the higher-ups were like, that's actually too far, sorry, we can't do that?
They've actually been really, really supportive. I think the only time there was a little pushback was season 1 on our fake trial episode, where they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I wanted to do an episode based on when I was a kid and you had to catch Star Trek in syndication, and you would turn on an episode and you would have missed the first 10 minutes, so you had no context. That's the theme of this episode. And they were like, what are you talking about? but eventually, I don't think there's ever been something we've wanted to do in Lower Decks that we haven't been able to do. We have such support from Secret Hideout in the studio and the network. They get sometimes I do get a look from them where they're like, I feel like maybe they mute and they go, I think Mike, this is very personal for Mike and we should just let him do it. Which is where you want to be when you're making a show. So anything you like in Lower Decks is from these guys, and anything you don't like in Lower Decks is from me, because we're doing whatever we want, and I'm sorry in advance.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, one more time for the cast and crew of the USS Cerritos.